Hello, people of the internet, and welcome to this kind of one-off video on BeamNG, where today you will see that I have my Fujigogo test track. Well, not mine, but the test track I use, which happens to be on the Fujigogo map, and I have a Mazda Cosmo, a fairly nice sports car from the early 70s with rotary power. Yes. Certainly much better looking than basically anything that came after it from Mazda, in my opinion, including that 90s RX-7, as much as some people disagree with me. Anyway, I do need to get going and probably turn my lights off and actually get into gear. I will be trying to beat this with, let's say, dodgy gym teacher special edition Moonhawk. Because there's not really another way I can describe it. Wow, this is lovely round the corners. I'm going to have a hard thing on my hands beating it. Oh dear. Whoa, come on. It went? Really? It's behaving like those V8s I had recently, as of this point. And that was not intended to happen. I mean, it is on old skinny tyres. They look like cross plies even. That's not going to help matters. I think I just went a bit too aggressive. I have to remember, I mean, it's a potent car. Although it's old, it does definitely have its own potential. And the car I'm going to compete it with only has a 90-ish horsepower 4-cylinder. It's not exactly great. However, I believe with the right trickery I can beat this. I mean, I'm gonna try my very best to set a good lap with this, which won't be this first lap because of that spin I had, but I just have to try experimenting really. See what I can get from it. Oh dear, bit of a slide there, but I was able to lift and avoid it. I've learned that now about it, then just don't floor it at every corner like a lunatic and it'll probably treat me well. It seems like it can go to 8,000 RPMs, that's quite high. Almost getting 90 miles per hour there, which would defy something with about 170 horsepower. I'd think it would have a lot more. I'm going to try and stay away from these curves if possible, because that will help keep the car stable. There we go. I was a bit rough over them, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, I maintained a certain level of stability. Yeah, it's going to be a bit bouncier if we compare this to modern vehicles, because it just isn't a modern vehicle. Will it beat the ETK convertible? I'm highly doubtful, but maybe, just maybe, it's possible due to its low weight. I mean, this, I believe, weighs just under 950 kilos, if I'm not wrong. So, there's always the chance. There's always the hope as well. Well, as my gearing went a bit wrong, but besides that, it has been a very good lap. So, I have my hopes up. I'm only really using 2 gears, maybe 3rd gear occasionally, but I don't seem to need 3rd gear that much. Go fairly gentle on the way up that hill so I don't spin it or anything. And then I need 3rd right now. Oh, that seemed fairly slow. I'm going to have to make sure it's absolutely perfect through 3rd lap if I'm to get the kind of performance I think this vehicle's capable of. I mean, it is still an old vehicle, so there's only so much there, but you know, it's still a sports car as opposed to just a regular economy car. Going a bit light there, because if I didn't, I would have understeered or oversteered and just generally messed the corner up. So I had to go around it in a way that felt like it could have slowed the car down. Same there as well. It feels like I might have been going slower as a result, but it's all I can really do. I'm actually going as quick as I feel I can push this vehicle. And I've pushed it down into first, so I can use those higher revs, hopefully get the most power out of it. At that time, I didn't go into first on other laps, which is possibly a good thing, possibly a bad thing. I'm hoping I can get this into 120s. Keep it into second here, it's worked so far and I have no reason to defy that right now. Gotta get my shift point right here. Come on! It shifted into fifth, but anyway, it is a good lap. So, here we have the Hopeless, and it is bobbling all over the place, and as you'll see, I re-say it, and it actually moves to the left by itself, because the suspension is that terrible on it. Yeah, this is basically the Moonhawk Beta, but with the 2.2 litre inline 4 swapped in. It's got some lovely no texture there, really adds to the quality. It's really probably just because it's an older mod. It still works mechanically though, which is the important thing. So, shall we get underway? I don't have any electronic stability or stuff to turn off. Anyway, as I was saying, I think the Cosmo is 7th overall on the leaderboard, and that is an impressive time. Like 7th overall, remember, against everything, not just 7th out of old sports cars, so it's going to have a bit of a challenge on its hands. Ooh, now it does actually have that as an advantage, as terrible and beaten as the suspension is on this. It does handle the bumps better. And it is easier to drive because it's got less power, so it's not all bad. How on earth this would keep up though, I don't know. The transmission you'll see is not a manual, and you'll hear I'm not shifting all the time. There's only 3 gears there, and it decides when it wants to shift, being an auto. I did some fancy handwork there, probably not enough fancy handwork to save this car from its certain doom, but you know, I can try. Oh dear, the radiator is gone. I mean, it's to be expected really, because it's a piece of junk. So I'll add that to what needs upgrading really, or improving, along with the suspension. Basically, they're the 2 things I think we should start with. And then there is obviously taking all the doors and seats and stuff we don't need off it, because that will save a huge amount of weight. Remember, this is a heavyish car without much power at all, so it could have a massive performance advantage if we do that. Oh dear, it feels like it's down with the HGVs for performance now. At the same time though, you know, it's not crashed yet. It has been quite stable, and it has been more stable that lap than the Cosmo. I'm flooring it now, but the transmission is throwing up its own kind of issues. 3 gears, remember. I think the Cosmo must have had about 5 or at least 4, and I could decide when to shift, which made things a bit more adaptable for me. Remember how I was shifting down to first just on that one occasion where I really needed to, and up to third just in that one occasion where I really needed to. Whereas this, it might end up shifting down in places I don't quite want it to shift down. As my left hand kind of had a mind of its own there, trying to save the car. Now, we'll go along, and this is not going quick. I think I'm going to have a slight improvement on the first lap, but hopefully I can do more than a slight improvement. Oh dear. I need to be careful because these tyres are trash, but I'll come on to those later. I mean, the tyres are good enough, and the wheels are good enough that I don't feel the need to change them until I have tried this with all the weight stripped out and stuff. So I'll finish the last lap, since it's quite a slow vehicle, and then I will return. Okay, so we've managed to just about beat a 1 minute 47, and I mean just. In a weird way, it is more fun than the Cosmo. Slightly more fun because, well, the suspension is that terrible. But then that's kind of part of the fun. So, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Surprisingly, it didn't overheat, so I guess we can go without upgrading that component if we desperately want to. But it's quite clear now, what needs to be done is we need to fix the parts that are really terrible, and then take it round again. And then we will do one final stint. You know, if I find any other little bits that could be done to it on that one, and I'll do them. So, what do we have here? We have rear springs. Fair enough. No rear shock absorbers. Well, that's just about explained. I'd say rally. I think we should build it into a stripped out rally type vehicle. So, rally rear shocks. It does still have coils and not live axle coil and not live axle leaf as some old cars have. So, we can be grateful for that. No rear sway bar. Should we put that in? Yes, I think we should. Rear spindles. No, let's not bother. Rear drum brakes. Race rear drum brakes. I mean, while we're here, we might as well put all the high-end bits on with the suspension and just see how it does. My handbrake doesn't work. Oh dear. Gonna have to hold this brake. I need to add a... Do I need the differential? No. I think an open rear differential could be the better option. So I'm not going to take any chances at the moment. I think I'll leave the transmission stock. Just to stay with the spirit, really, of turning this old beta into an actual track car. I'm not going to go with any really fancy transmissions. What can we do with the front suspension? Keep the independent front suspension the same. We'll actually add some rally front shocks. We'll add some rally front springs. And we actually have a front sway bar, just not a race front sway bar, so we'll upgrade that. And front disc brakes, race front disc brakes. You get some good equipment on these, on the higher trims. It's just, we don't have it on this lowly beta. I think if anything though, these brakes could actually put it ahead of the Cosmo. So, all in all, that is done quite well. Steering, can't upgrade that. The steel wheels, they're 185 front and rear, but it's not got that much power. If I could just upgrade the tyres, I wouldn't even need to change the wheels. It wouldn't be that much purpose to it. I don't know. So, we can go with wider standard tyres. Ooh, all-terrain. I wonder how those would fit. Yes. Going with the rally theme, I think we could fit some all-terrain on the front and the rear. They should be quite good. And the rally suspension should actually... Rally suspension and these tyres, rather, should actually help deal with the curbs even better still. So it won't have to kind of go up on them like the Cosmo. We can just go over them like an SUV and not worry in the slightest. We've got all the suspension bits. They can close now. Radiator support. I would say we need that. Oh, we can upgrade that to a radiator that will actually work. Inline 4 radiator. And the engine transmission, we are not going to touch this. The exhaust is all going to stay the same. Try and keep the power as stock as possible. We move the bumpers. They'll make it less safe, or the lack of them will make them less safe, but Moonhawks with less safety are generally lighter in my book. We move the body? No. Body's probably what we need. Wheelie bar will add weight for something that's really not necessary with this engine. We could probably remove this completely. Look at this, yes. Just removing massive rods of car. Gonna need a driver's seat. We can change that to a race driver's seat. Passenger seat that can go. Don't need a passenger seat at all. Don't need the bench seats in the back because they'll add weight. Automatic column shifter, that can stay because it's an automatic. Well, we can have an automatic floor shifter, but I'm honestly gonna just leave it as it is. Don't need a shift light because it's an automatic, what's the point? I don't know if the steering wheel will save weight. If I was doing it on a tight budget, then sure, I wouldn't bother changing it, but, you know, why not? Nomad 207R. It is 1350 chassis weight. I believe it's got slightly lighter. I believe that wheel made it like a minuscule amount lighter as well. We can remove that completely. Yep, we're going bonnet free on this car. It is basically going to be a kind of Baja buggy by the time we're finished with it, for lack of a better term. Glass is heavy. Yes, look at this. We have got it down to 1300-ish kilograms. It's never going to match the power to weight ratio of the Cosmo, but it'll probably actually stop better and corner better thanks to my tyres and brakes. Remove these. We don't need those doors. Yeah, saved quite a bit of weight. I don't know why there is an odd pipe on the floor there, if you just see. Is it a pipe? Whatever it is. I think it's the exhaust. Okay, I don't know why it's sticking through the ground like that. Quite disconcerting, to be entirely honest. And I think I have to reset the car because the camera is a bit odd. Anyway, we can remove the fenders as well. I don't want the wide ones. They're from a wide body. They'll probably add more weight than it's worth. The radiator support kind of, I think, has to be there to support the radiator. In BeamNG, I think you can get away without it, but I'm not going to cheat that because it's just like cheating physics. It's not realistic at all. So we've got 1192 kilos now. So far, it looks far worse than the Cosmo, and it still weighs more, but the weight is more manageable now. It looks like I can get it close to 1150. And that is not bad. I mean, some European sports cars would have been 1150 kilograms. Can I put hubcaps on it? No, hubcaps would add weight. I don't know why I'm even thinking of this. Beige interior. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to change that. Swapping that out would just be a waste of money, really. Like, it came with a beige interior, just use it. Not like it's going to make much difference when it's covered in flies and dirt anyway from the exterior, which will get in so much more easily now. Okay. Do we have any fancy rear suspension or front suspension? No. This looks like what we need has been done. All I can do now is hope that it works. We have a facelift frame. You know what? I could give this a try if it saves a bit of weight. Oh no, it doesn't save a bit of weight at all. And I've undone a lot of my changes. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to remove all the bits that I had just removed and then added on again, and then I will see you at the start line. So, here we have the modified Hopeless again, and I will be trying to drive this thing, see if it does any kind of better. It does still feel a bit hopeless, as the name would imply. However, The suspension isn't boinging all over the place. I mean, it wobbles, the chassis wobbles, if anything, because I guess there's less support there from the bodywork, but this rally suspension is lovely, as I would have predicted it would be. And it does feel well balanced around the corners, it's just the transmission's holding it back, and, well, the engine, I guess, as well. I still don't think this has what it takes to beat the Cosmo. The Cosmo was some pretty intense competition. I should have used a Miramar in hindsight, because I don't think this is as good as it would be, you know, to provide a strong fight. I think the transmission just holds it back too much. It's definitely quicker through here, just looking at the time. Just how much quicker is the question. Oh, there we go. I have not done anything to this. I mean, there was a last-ditch effort, should I say, I could make if this does fail, and that is just throwing nitrous on the engine. It's kind of cheating, you know, since I said I didn't want to modify the car, but the engine that is, but even so, there's only so much I can do. That's not bad. A 139 initially. It was doing 150s, remember, before, so we've saved 10 seconds off this car's lap times. Come on, automatic, please don't hold me back. I need to push me vehicle. Thankfully, because we have rally suspension, we can do that. We couldn't have done that in the Mazda. It just wouldn't have dealt with it that well. And that corner was a nightmare for the transmission to deal with. You've got to carry speed. It's like a track car. Well, because it is a track car, but it's a very odd track car. It's a track car with less power than most people's... I don't know, I say most people. Less power than some people's Renault Clios. And not the Renault Sport Clios, just the regular Clios. So, that's a thing to bear in mind. I would say I'm getting quicker. I'm learning the vehicle and its intricacies. It does have a nice handling. I mean, it has solid grip, good brakes, and the off-road tyres and plenty of suspension travel mean it can actually handle the odd off-roading you need to do with it. Ooh, we are getting very close to that Mazda. I would have thought we wouldn't have been in with a shout, but look at that, 132. Gently does it round here. I had to take a bit of lift and then that transmission gets in the way. Kind of digs into my power. Although maybe it won't have been in vain. Come on. Gently round there and then hopefully we can get some power through. This gearbox is all over the place. I don't like it. It's just not shifting with me at all. I feel like I'm doing a decent enough job of moving the vehicle now at some pace, but then the transmission is working against me. The transmission, I think, is employed by Mazda. So, round here we go. Full lock, which is okay because I didn't go off or anything of that sort, so I might be able to still recover this. Keep to the inside of that corner. Inside of that corner as well. And again, the inside. There are limits to its grip, but hopefully I can work around them. Yes, if this is where I beat it, so be it. Oh, I can't beat it. I got close though. You see? A 131 from this. Now, the earlier laps that this was setting, correct me if I'm wrong, but the earlier laps that this was setting, say the first lap or the second lap, before I modified it, they were 20 seconds behind. And that's the same engine and the same transmission. This is all just tyres, weight and suspension. And, oh, a bit of brakes as well. So, you know, I've taken the exact same vehicle though. I've not done anything really crazy with the engine. I've just taken what I had and I've made it better. So, here we have the car once again. And I've come up with a last-ditch effort. Well, after the nitrous. I did try nitrous, but it weren't any quicker. Either the nitrous was broken, or I don't know, or it blew the piston wings on the engine or something. Maybe it just wasn't working because it's not a standard engine. Anyway, I have got a 3-speed manual now. No nitrous in the back, I guess to save weight. So, hopefully, this can save the car, because I do remember the transmission was horrible, and maybe, just maybe, having a transmission that isn't employed by Mazda can put me ahead. Oh dear. Come on. Over we go. Slow into here. Up. It does feel nicer, like I'm in control, completely in control of the gears. And that is a nice thing to know. Slow it into here. Keeping it in first gear. I wouldn't shift into second as I feel the automatic would. It is a 3-speed manual, by the way. So, that's a thing. I probably shifted a bit early there, but I can get away with it, you know. I'm still not as bad as the auto was. Come on. Round here. Neatly and done. It's not front wheel drive, so we won't get ridiculous understeer. Shift up there. Quite a nice shift point I think I selected. Oh, getting a bit of slide even from it. Down into first because of the hill here, and we're not going to be gaining speed necessarily if we're in the lower parts of the gear. Want to keep it going, yes. Keep the momentum up. It might look slow, but remember this is the first lap. Oh dear. Yes, come on. Trying just not to go off the course there. Oh dearie me. Right, just leap across there. Yep, it's a rally car now. Well, it has got appropriate suspension for when you have to do that kind of thing. Yep, 139, it's a solid one. I think that was quicker than the quickest times I've set before. Proof of how dreadful that transmission was. I mean, I'm not a racing expert or anything, but I can operate a manual at least well enough to save a bit of time over some of the worst automatics out there. I think I've bent up the steering on that kind of jump I had, which is slightly odd. Although it is an open wheel car at the front, remember, which isn't going to help matters when you do have impacts. It just goes straight to the front wheels and the front chassis and whatnot, because there's nowhere else to dissipate the destruction to. Yeah, I think it's just the chassis bent up at the front. The suspension is dealing with it well enough though, so I shouldn't have to worry. It feels slow, but I mean, even though this is heavier and less powerful than the Cosmo, I think it just has better handling to the point that I can utilise that round corners now. It was slower before, but it was too slow before. It feels like it's no longer too slow. It feels like the manual is going to save this. As I hop across that curb, like the little bunny that this car is. Well, it's not little at all, really, if I'm entirely honest. I did a bit of a slide there. That might have killed my time, but a 133 is quite fast. I think the Mazda's in the 120s though. I don't think I've saved it. Especially if that slide has anything to say about it. Oh dear. All I can do at this point is hope. I mean, I'm pushing the car harder and harder as I go, but it might not get me anywhere. Flooring it right now. Onto a curb and off the curb again. Onto the curb and off. Just generally a pattern you'd go round a racetrack with. Maybe I need even more transmission tweaks, but I was just having the idea, essentially, that maybe a manual could save it, because that transmission was generally dreadful. Or maybe that transmission worked fine, but it just felt horrible in the way it was behaving. 31. I'm not sure if that's actually slower than before. I'll have to have a look. So, there we have our conclusion. It feels, well, feels nicer with the manual. There's no other way of putting it. The front is bent up. That is clear as well. But this is slower. About 2 seconds slower, despite actually feeling lovely with this transmission. I guess it's just the automatic making things easier, and it doesn't push the car into slides round corners, so it eases on the power a bit more. Yeah, basically, I've made the car even worse still, but I will still include this clip because it does help to show a point that maybe that transmission wasn't as dreadful as I want to believe. Maybe it's not as dreadful as I want everyone else to believe either. Anyway, with that all being said and done, I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to attack my car because, well, it's not my fault it was slower. It's obviously the car's fault. Anyway, until next time, goodbye, until another day.